audio 2 of the poem O Captain, My Captain. So now children, I will be explaining as how I had mentioned at the end of the first audio, bracket by bracket. So, O Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack, the prize we sought is won. So here the poet, I'm now explaining it line by line. So if you want, you can write it down or you just listen attentively. The speaker is shouting out to his captain that they have finally made it home after a frightening trip. They were on a ship that survived or weathered strong winds. Okay. They are now probably tired after such a grueling voyage, but apparently they have succeeded in their mission. Now, whatever this mission or the prize was, we know that it wasn't easy to get. So, the mission or the prize that they got was, they have finally succeeded in winning the war over slavery. Okay, now lines 3 and 4. The port is near, the bells are here, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. So now here, in these two lines, the speaker is the sailor on the ship, and the ship isn't just yet safe in the harbor, but the boat is in sight of the land, and there are people on the shore cheering and ringing the church bells as they approach. Now here, as they approach means as the ship approaches into the people on the shore watch the ship come in. In contrast to the happy people on the land, the boat is described like a ghost ship that is grim and daring. You have those words there, okay? Then the speaker is telling the readers that something is going to happen and it isn't going to be pretty good. Okay, so that is what these two lines are about. Now, coming to lines 5 to 8, that is, but oh heart, 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 oh the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen, cold and dead. So now these 4 lines, what the poet or the sailor tells is, the sailor is calling out, but this time it isn't for the captain. Okay, he's not calling out. He all of a sudden he sees that there are drops of blood on the deck of the ship, and the speaker notices that his captain of the ship, that is the president of the country, is now lying there cold and dead. Okay, now the next 4 lines. Oh captain, my captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills, for you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores are crowding. For you they call, the swaying mass, their eager faces trimming. So now these 4 lines, that is lines 9 to 12, the poet is telling us that the sailor or the speaker, he comes to the dead captain's side and he's begging for the captain to rise up again. The speaker tells that all the people on the shore are cheering for the captain, and the captain also describes the manner in which the people are celebrating by telling that they are raising their flags, they are playing the different musical instruments to greet him, they are holding flowers and bouquets in their hands, and they are calling out to the captain. The crowds have eager faces. The crowds are waiting there with eager faces. That means, they are all standing there with excitement in their hand, and they are earnestly waiting to welcome their leader. So that is what the explanation goes on from lines 9 to 12. Okay, now lines 13 to 16. Here, captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head, it is some dream that on the deck you have fallen cold and dead. So now here the sailor or the speaker, he takes the dead captain in his arms and calls the captain father. So he nurses the head of the captain in his arm, and he's like how he calls out to his biological father. Here he's calling out to the president, that is Abraham Lincoln. He's addressing him as father, and because he has got so much of intense feeling for this man, he has got so much of respect for this person who is the head of his team, who is the head of the country, and whose head is resting on his arm. But unfortunately or sadly, the captain is unable to feel any sort of discomfort, even though he is very uncomfortably positioned in the arm of the speaker. The captain now is unable to experience all these feelings, and the speaker or the sailor, he doesn't want to come on terms with the thought that his captain has left him forever, and so he's trying to to figure out that maybe he is just lying there in that position because of the tiredness or the grueling experience that they have had all through this civil war. And the speaker also can't accept the reality that now his captain is no more, and he has died, or he has passed away just before they could reach home. Now page 100, the first two lines, that is line 17 and 18. My captain does not answer. His lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm. He has no pulse nor will. So now here the poet or the speaker tells that the dead captain unsurprisingly doesn't respond to the sailor's cries. Sadly, the color has left the captain's face, and he has no pulse and the ability or the willpower to move. Now the next two lines. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip, the victor ship comes in with object won. So now here the speaker goes on to tell us that the ship has now finally arrived at its final destination, and its final destination is nothing but the harbor, and drops its anchor, for now they have completed with their voyage. The speaker reminds that this trip was actually a very, very dangerous and a difficult one, but the mission was a success. But they had a mission, and that mission was what? They have come out triumph in the war, and they are now very rejoicingly coming back into the harbor. Then finally the last four lines. Exalt, O shores, and ring, O bells, but I with mournful tread walk the deck, my captain lies fallen, cold and dead. So then he says that the speaker or the sailor says that now finally the ship has come into the harbor and it has anchored, and the speaker is now calling out to the people who have gathered on the shores, or the crowds who are standing there to welcome them. He wants them to keep cheering and celebrating the homecoming of the ship and the success of their mission. But as the sailor is encouraging the people to keep on cheering, but as the crowd celebrates, it is only the sailor who remains on the ship, and he is pacing very sadly up and down, because he is the only person who knows the truth that their leader has fallen. He is no more, and he has, finally met his end. He has come out victorious in the war, but he is the one who could not see his countrymen rejoicing, and before he could see his countrymen rejoicing, he passed away. So this speaker or the sailor is that unfortunate sailor who cannot take part in the celebrations of what the crowd is going through, because he has lost his father, or he feels that the country has lost its father. So children, I hope you have understood the detailed explanation of this poem. So with this, I come to the end of this audio. Thank you.